Americans that Obamacare would reduce their insurance premiums by $2,500 per year. He made the claim at least 22 times during his campaign. They write that Barack Obama, yes, he did promise to reduce your premiums to $2,500. Absolute lie. In fact, now the opposite has happened. Okay, Donald Trump warned us. He told us. Okay, he was right. Completely taking down Obama with this truth. Premiums have skyrocketed for some people as much as 78%. And on Monday, the Associated Press said that Obamacare premiums will go up by an average of 25%. Okay, that's a lot of money. Now, according to AP, the premiums are going to skyrocket, and that will put the final nail in the coffin of Obama's last day in office. They state this is going to hurt his legacy so bad, the destruction of Obamacare. Trump was right the entire time. He said, quote, consumers will be faced this year with not only big premium increases, but also with a declining number of insurers participating, and that will lead to a tumultuous open enrollment period. Those are the words of Larry Levitt, who tracks the healthcare law for the nonpartisan Kaiser Family Foundation. So some people believe this was the planned implosion of Obamacare so that they could bring in something worse. Hillary Care. God help us all if that ever happens. We're going to stop that. Blast this everywhere on your social media. Share this article with everybody you know. Obamacare is a failure, and it's designed to bankrupt this nation. All right? Weigh in on the story in the comment section below. Subscribe for updates. If you like what we're doing here at the Next News Network, give us a thumbs up, and please share this report to bypass the media blackout and combat the false narratives. For the Next News Network, I'm Gary Franchi.
You possess the power to impact the global narrative. Please share this report, and to get more video like this, become a Next News subscriber by clicking the link below. Thank you for watching the Next News Network. This is a breaking news alert.
Got some breaking news for you now, yes. WikiLeaks is about to take down the Clinton chief strategist. Yes, the Conservative Tribune reports that the transparency organization WikiLeaks announced its latest target in a tweet, one of Hillary Clinton's top campaign strategists. Now, according to Breitbart, they announced this, that the chief Clinton strategist, Joel Benison, would be the next target for the organization's document dumps. Now, they say just slightly afterwards, the group issued another threat to Democrat vice presidential candidate Tim Kaine, who said that his emails were altered by the organization in relation to the John Podesta document dump. Interesting. So now they're falsifying their own emails. They say here, of course, cryptographic evidence seems to indicate that the documents weren't altered at all by WikiLeaks or anybody else. So, my friends, we're going to stand by and wait and watch the fireworks when these next data drops hit. But let's make sure these charlatans stay out of the White House. So please pass this along on Facebook, Twitter, if you want to see these people stay out of the White House. What are your thoughts? What do you think this next WikiLeaks reveal will be? Comment below. Subscribe for updates if you like what we're doing. Give us a thumbs up and also share this report to bypass the media blackout and combat the false narratives. For the Next News Network, I'm Gary Franchi.
You possess the power to impact the global narrative. Please share this report, and to get more videos like this, become a Next News subscriber by clicking the link below. Thank you for watching the Next News Network.
Allow me to quote Donald Trump talking about one of his favorite subjects, the mainstream media, and also the polling. You know, he used to love to recite the polling. I'm up in Florida, I'm up here and there. Now not so much. Says Trump at a rally the other day. The people who control political power in our society can rig investigations, like Hillary Clinton's investigation was rigged, can rig polls. You can see these phony polls, and rig the media. I understand Trump's not a happy camper these days. His own campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway, goes on television and says they're behind in the polls, which Trump says are phony. And Ed Rollins on Fox News yesterday saying, Ed Rollins, by the way, is the head of a Trump super PAC. It means he's independent of the campaign. He says if the election were held today, Trump would lose and lose big, and they know it. So let's talk a little bit about the polls. Now, a couple of caveats. Polls can be wrong. They are snapshots. There are a lot of problems with polling these days. A lot of people don't have landlines anymore. They don't want to answer their cell phones and spend time talking to pollsters. Been a lot of instances in which polls have been wrong. Sometimes one party, often Democrats, oversampled. So it's not like polls are perfect. But the notion that, let's go through the list. CBS New York Times, NBC Wall Street Journal, ABC Washington Post, Fox News, CNN, Politico Morning Consult, that all of these polls are phony and rigged because the organizations don't like Donald Trump. Well, there's no way that I'm going to buy into that. And I understand what Trump is doing. I mean, how many campaigns have we all been through where some candidate who was way behind said, and don't believe the pundits and the polls, and the only poll that counts is on election day, which is true, although technically not as much as it used to be, since we now have weeks of early voting in these key states. So that's why there's so much talk about polls. Now, I think right now, with this latest news about Obamacare and premiums going up 25%, and many people in that federal program having far fewer choices for health insurance, that could be a winning issue for Donald Trump. But to the extent that he talks about polls, and you have the pundits who are already obsessed with the polls, there's a whole lot of talk about horse race stuff, which maybe is not the way we should spend the final 2 weeks of the campaign. All right, now, I don't have any problem with the people who do this for a living, the political analysts and prognosticators, looking at the red and blue map and saying, for example, Fox News projects right now Hillary Clinton would have 307 electoral votes based on states that are either solidly Democratic or leaning Democratic. That's more than the 270 you need to win. Larry Sabato in his crystal ball, 352 votes for Hillary Clinton. Nate Silver in the 538 site, 338.9 votes for Clinton because he's so precise. And then you look up, New York Times, I just picked it up the other day. New poll has Trump trailing by 7 in North Carolina. Could Clinton win Texas? Democrats say maybe she could win Texas. She's not going to win Texas. But in any event, the point is, it's a race in which Donald Trump is trying to make up ground. He's only got 2 weeks to go. There are no more debates. It's hard to move the needle. But polls are sometimes wrong. And here's the problem I have. We shouldn't be declaring this race to be over. We shouldn't be seeing all these stories. I mean, you can see some of them, but when every story is either about she's ahead, he's behind, he has no chance, who is Hillary Clinton going to pick for agriculture secretary? Will she win a mandate? How much can she help other Democrats win? The message it's sending, and I think that many journalists want to send, is that the race is over. But it might not be over. And a lot of people could look pretty dumb on election day. Now, that doesn't change the fact that Hillary Clinton is winning this race, and it will take considerable effort, maybe some mistakes on her part, and maybe some outside events for Donald Trump to catch up. But it's still an election. And I sense just a little bit of schadenfreude, a little bit of glee in some of the journalists and media outlets that are very happily reporting that Donald Trump is behind. Does that mean the polls are crooked like Trump calls crooked Hillary? No, it doesn't mean that. But it does mean that all of us ought to be a little more careful about just saying it's over. Remember what Yogi Berra said, not over till it's over.
Is now with more. Newt Gingrich. He served as Speaker of the House. He's a Trump supporter and author of the book Treason. Great to see you, Mr. Speaker. Thanks for being here. So
it's good to be back.
I mean, with Cook and many other nonpartisan independent pollsters now saying that the Senate is likely lost to the Republicans, what does that say? I mean, if Donald Trump loses this White House race and the Republicans lose the Senate, does that suggest that the Republicans nominated the wrong candidate at the top of their ticket?
The next 2 weeks are a contest of two parallel universes. I just listened to that report. First of all, I used to hang out with Charlie Cook when he would explain that Donald Trump was hopeless and would not get the nomination. I like Charlie. That doesn't mean he's infallible. But let's take the report we just got. Republicans are actually outvoting Democrats in Florida. They're outvoting Democrats in Pennsylvania. That's unprecedented. They've cut the Democratic lead.
You predict a win in Pennsylvania?
I think they might.
Really? You think Trump's going to win Pennsylvania?
Look, all I can report to you right now is they're outvoting the Democrats in early voting, which is also true in Florida, which is unprecedented.
But all of the polls in Pennsylvania have her winning.
What?
All of the polls in Pennsylvania have her ahead.
I know. I just told you we have two alternative universes right now. In Iowa, for example, the Democrats are 50,000 votes behind where they were with Barack Obama in turnout. The governor is very confident we're going to carry Iowa, which Obama carried last time. I can just carry you through case after case like this. In Minnesota, we're almost certainly going to win the congressional seat up around Duluth, which is a very Democratic area, but it deeply dislikes Hillary Clinton. And represent now.
But let me just ask you. Let me just ask you, because you say it's two alternate universes. I mean, these are sort of small examples of how he might be heading early voting and so on. But I'm telling you that the Fox News decision desk just moved Iowa, that you just mentioned, Indiana, 2nd Congressional District in Maine. All of them moved left, moved more likely to vote for Hillary Clinton. And in fact, all of the moves that have been on this map over the past 3 weeks by Larry Sabato, by Cook, by the Fox News decision desks, these are nonpartisan outlets that are just trying to call the electoral
scoreboard. Not nonpartisan outlets. Every outlet you described is part of the establishment.
Fox News, really? Are we? I don't think so. And every state they've moved it to the left, towards Hillary. And you tell me whether that's all made up.
No, I think they're two alternative universes. You have a poll which suggests that she's going to get a Barack Obama turnout among African Americans. I don't think that's going to happen. You have a Washington Post ABC News poll where they took out 8% of the vote because they didn't like the way it voted. Look, I've been around long enough. I remember when the Detroit Liberal newspaper on the Sunday before the election said John Engler would lose by 14 points. He won the governorship that year. I don't take polls as seriously as people who've never run for office.
But your candidate loves them and has touted them from the beginning. And he's been behind in virtually every one out of the last 40 polls that we've seen over the past month. That's the reality.
Look, if you want to assume the election's over, skip the next 2 weeks and we can talk about the future.
I'm not assuming anything. I'm asking you whether you believe your candidate's behind based on these numbers and what it says about the down ballot races.
I believe the odds are at least 1 in 3 and maybe better than that the difference in intensity and the difference in determination and the degree to which Hillary Clinton is clearly the most corrupt, dishonest person ever nominated by a party all mean that the odds are pretty good she's not going to win. Now, I actually believe that. This is not just because I'm for Donald Trump. I actually believe the American people
let me ask you about that.
By this.
So let's assume she is corrupt, right? She was just as corrupt 3 weeks ago and 3 months ago. And she would have been corrupt and collapsing physically on September 11th of this year, and her poll numbers tanked. But then you know what happened. He had a rough first debate. He took the bait on Alicia Machado. He stayed in that trap for a week. The Access Hollywood tape came out, which was not produced by Hillary Clinton. That was Trump on camera talking about grabbing women.
Look, I just heard you go through this with Governor Pence. I get it. I know where you're coming from. But let me point out something to you.
Sure.
The 3 major networks spent 23 minutes attacking Donald Trump that night and 57 seconds on Hillary Clinton's secret speeches. You don't think this is a scale of bias worthy of Pravda and Izvestia? I mean, you want to know why Donald Trump's had a rough time?
If Trump is a sexual predator, that is...
He's not a sexual predator.
Okay,
you
that's
can't
your
say
opinion.
That.
I'm not taking a position on it.
Defend that statement.
I'm not
sick
taking a
and
position
tired
on
of people like you using language that's inflammatory, that's not true.
Excuse me, Mr. Speaker.
Donald
you have
Trump
no idea whether it's true or not. What we know is that there are at least...
Neither do you.
That's right, and I'm not taking a position on it, unlike
yes, you are. When you use the words, you took a position.
So what
I think it's very unfair of you to do that, Megan.
Incorrect.
I think that is exactly the bias people are upset by.
I think that your defensiveness on this may speak volumes, sir.
No,
what I said is...
No,
let me make my point, and then I'll give you the floor. What I said is if Trump is a sexual predator, then it's a big story. And what we saw on that tape was Trump himself saying that he likes to grab women by the genitals and kiss them against their will. That's what we saw. Then we saw 10 women come forward after he denied actually doing it at a debate to say that was untrue. He did it to me. He did it to me. We saw reporters. We saw people who had worked with him, people from Apprentice, and so on and so forth. He denies it all, which is his right. We don't know what the truth is. My point to you is, as a media story, we don't get to say the 10 women are lying. We have to cover that story, sir.
Sure. Okay, so it's worth 23 minutes of the three networks to cover that story, and Hillary Clinton in a secret speech in Brazil to a bank that pays her $225,000, saying her dream is an open border where 600 million people could come to America. That's not worth covering. Through the tapes of your show recently, you are fascinated with sex and you don't care about public policy. Now, that's what I get out of watching you tonight.
You know what, Mr. Speaker, I'm not fascinated by sex, but I am fascinated by the protection of women and understanding what we're getting in the Oval Office. And I think the American voters would like to know.
And therefore, we're going to send Bill Clinton back to the East Wing because, after all, you were worried about sexual predators.
Yeah, listen, it's not about me. It's about the women and men of America. And the poll numbers show us that the women of America in particular are very concerned about these allegations and in large part believe that they are a real issue. And don't dismiss the women summarily.
Do you want to comment on whether the Clinton ticket has a relationship to a sexual predator?
We, on the Kelly File, have covered that story as well, sir. I will tell you the polls.
I just want to hear you use the words. I want to hear you use Bill Clinton sexual predator. I dare you. Say Bill Clinton sexual predator.
Mr. Speaker,
disbarred by the Arkansas bar. Disbarred by the Arkansas bar. $850,000 penalty.
Excuse me, sir. We on the Kelly File have covered the Clinton matter as well. We've hosted Kathleen Willey. We've covered the examples of him being accused as well, but he's not on the ticket. And the polls also show that the American public is less interested in the deeds of Hillary Clinton's husband than they are in the deeds of the man who asks us to make him president, Donald Trump. We're going to have to leave it at that, and you can take your anger issues and spend some time working on them, Mr. Speaker. Thanks for being here.
And you too. You too.